we were speaking about DeSantis and Rubio and COVID-19. My name is Rebekah Jones.
Rebecca.
I'm the Florida scientist and whistleblower who was fired for refusing and then later had my home invaded and guns pointed at my small children for that price. My question to you is in two parts. We talk a lot about restoring faith in science, because that's what it is. How do you accomplish that as a U.S. Senator? I'm running for the House in the 1st District against Matt Gaetz. So I will do my part. How do we enact that as a law? And what will you do to protect scientific whistleblowers like me? So that my family is the only family that Ron DeSantis will ever do that to.
Thank you for that. Because it is not easy. Because it is not easy. Let me just say this, because you brought up the impeachment trial. When I was selected to be an impeachment manager, I didn't ask to be a manager. I didn't seek it out. I was trying to hide from the speaker, actually. I was involved in the investigations. I was on both committees with jurisdiction. But I said, you know, let's leave that up to the attorneys, whatever. And when she called and she said, I want you to be a manager. Okay, great, let's go. And look, for me, it wasn't about politics. As a law enforcement officer, it's about what's right and wrong. It's about upholding the Constitution, the rule of law, and protecting our democracy. That's what it was about for me. But you can imagine the people who called my office, both of them in Orlando and D.C., it was so bad at one time in D.C. that, I mean, we sent the Capitol Police all over the country to meet with these people and track them down who called and said what they were going to do to me and my family. And they talked about my hair, they talked about my size, they talked about my clothes, they talked about my children, my I mean, it was awful. It was so bad we had to send the person in my office who answers the phone to counseling because of what they said about me and what they were going to do to me and anybody around me, right? And so I know what you're going through. But let me tell you wouldn't it be a sad day if we need to pass a law that says 1 + 1 = 2? Now just think about it, because that's what, we don't need to pass a law to say, believe in science, right? Because science believes in itself. It's like math, you can't. It is what it is. What we have to do is elect people who believe in science. What sorry, disgusting, ridiculous politicians have done during this this public health pandemic is shameful. And now, in terms of your family safety, see, I don't play with that, right? We don't play with that. And there are, of course, as you know, state, local, and federal laws on the books that will help to protect you. But you have given me food for thought about when you are in a particular position and folks are calling you, threatening your family, maybe we could do some enhanced penalties there. Because you have to be able to do your job. And so we have to create an environment that allows you to do that. But it would be a sad day when we got to pass a law that says, now, believe in science. I mean, really, we don't want people like that. We want to elect people who believe in science. And look, and let me say this too. We're not going to get everything we want. You know, when we look at our candidates, right, we're all only human, and you might love 8 things and hate 2. Go with the 8. You know what I'm saying? And start holding your elected officials accountable. All of them, right? Because I get calls all the time, and see, as a former police chief, I'm used to responding. You know, I have to respond, right? Come on, let's yell at me. Tell me what's wrong. And I gotta fix it. That's what local officials, you can't hide, right? I get calls all the time because people know that I am going to respond, and that is a good thing. But don't let Rubio and Scott sit there with no, like they're doing a good job? When they don't do what you need them to, write them a letter to. Call their office and complain, because now I know this is going to change November next year, but right now they are your senators. They don't get a free pass. Turn the heat up. When we've gone through this public health pandemic, small businesses have suffered. People were losing their houses and couldn't pay their rent. Don't let them sit there and that's okay. Call them, write them, hold them accountable too. But if we stick together, that is the greatest fear. What they're going to try to do, Marco Rubio won't show his hand. But what he's going to try to do is build some type of wedge between you and me. And he's going to try to use criminal justice reform to do that. Don't fall for it. He's going to get some third-party group to talk about how awful I am because I was a police chief. Don't fall for it. Look at my record of service. Look at the record of this former social worker before I became a cop, who became a police officer with a social worker's heart. It does not mean I didn't hold people accountable, because I'm going to hold you accountable when you break the law, just like I did the former president. But I also understand if we don't deal with the social ills, as a social worker, we got to deal with poverty. We got to deal with unemployment. We've got to deal with job skills training. We got to deal with substandard education. If we know every 26 seconds a child drops out of school, and we look at our prisons, and the majority are black and brown, and guess what else? They're high-skilled dropouts. Maybe if we invest more in education on the front end, amen, we can keep them out of prisons on the back end. So we've got to invest in those quality of life issues that cause decay in communities in the first place. No one gets a pass. Y'all, thank you all so much. God bless.